Hi everyone, welcome to our episode 5 of the Women Techmakers series, and this is part 1. We are talking to an amazing women tech maker, Bettina Hein. And before we start, let me just introduce myself and my co-host. My name is Amanda Surya, and I've been here at Google for about 6 years. I started off as an engineer here at Google, and then I became a manager in the developer relations team. And I currently manage developer relations work for YouTube and our Google Commerce products. And let me hand it off to Gretchen to introduce herself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Gretchen Howard. I run Google Plus for brands, so the business side of our social business at Google. I've been here about 7 years and worked always on the business side of the house and the online advertising in particular. So welcome again, Bettina. We would love, as we said, you're the founder and CEO of Pixability. We'd love just for you to introduce yourself.
So yeah, my name's Bettina Hein. I'm the founder and CEO of Pixability, and I'm a repeat technology entrepreneur. I started my first company right out of graduate school as a spin-off of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, and after that I founded Pixability, which I founded out of MIT.
Great. So just starting off, I would love it if you could just give us some background on how you chose the name and just what is the business model of your company for those that don't know about Pixability.
So the name, well, it had to do, I was trying to find a name that was, when I started Pixability, that had to do with video, but not too closely, because as experienced entrepreneurs know, your company often doesn't turn out doing the thing that you envision at the beginning that you'll be doing. So we programmed, wrote a little program that concatenated all these different types of names, words together to find a name, and that was great, but none of those were available, so I found Pixability for sale and thought, oh, this is cool. That pixels, video, that's kind of related, so that's how I chose the name. But what Pixability does is we solve YouTube for marketers. So we basically make companies successful on YouTube. We help them get more views and get more customers by increasing their conversions on YouTube.
Awesome. I love the name Pixability and the story how you came about with the name.
Yeah, it's like launching and iterating, just like we do at Google here all the time. So it's great.
So Bettina, since I work on YouTube and I'm sort of familiar with Pixability, so Pixability offers this very interesting feature called online video grader. Right? Can you tell us more about that, and what sort of data signals are you measuring in order to come up with that grade?
Yeah, so we have a free tool that's called onlinevideograder.com, and it's a way for companies to measure how well they're doing with video marketing. We're at Pixability, we're also the authors of Video Marketing for Dummies that just came out earlier this year, and so we've put a lot of thought into what makes an online video successful. And with the online video grader, it's a free way to check out how you're doing. So you get a score between 0 and 100, and it tells you how well you're doing in terms of having video on your website, in terms of how well you come up in search, in terms of how well you're doing with social media. And it's an automated tool that anybody can use for free, and helps them also improve their score. It gives you tips on what you're doing wrong, what you should be doing, and it exposes part of our software. It's a little tidbit that is free, that's useful for people to also entice them to maybe sign up for the paid version of our software.
That's great. So it's a teaser to get them started and get them interested. I love it. I'd love to hear more, sort of building on that, as you're helping these businesses, meet their business objectives through the use of online video. How do you work with, different companies to understand what the consumer trends are and how to interpret that into online video?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we do is we have a software that sits on top of your YouTube channel, basically as channel management software. And what we help you do is we help you analyze, first of all, to start off, what are people actually watching in your topic space? So we use these topic clustering algorithms that tap into YouTube's API, but also look at Facebook and Twitter, Google itself, LinkedIn, and we figure out what are people looking at. So let's say that you are L'Oreal, one of our customers, and you want to figure out what are people watching around dyeing their hair.
Right.
So we look at that, and we really look at what are the most popular videos in this space, how many of them are there, what lengths they have, how socially popular they are, how people are talking about them, all of that in a first step. And then we help them with a workflow tool with the creation of the video, so making sure that they can approve edits of their production people, whether they're in-house or external agencies. Then what we do is we help them publish out those videos. So they publish them to YouTube, but then also share them out on Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest.
Google Plus.
There we go. Sorry, but yes, not that. That's for the geeky types. Absolutely. So that's what we do, and we help them also optimize the videos. So help them optimize all the metadata around a video, the titles, the tags, the descriptions, and that's informed by this data that we've collected around millions of videos on their video topic. And then we help them track, we help them insert short links so that they can track conversions off of that. We also help companies create hyper-targeted ad placements. So we encourage them to use AdWords for video. We're big fans of that, of the new TrueView formats. And we help them show them exactly on what videos and what channels they should be putting those TrueView ads.
Awesome. So, Bettina, what advice would you give a company who wants to leverage YouTube as a marketing platform? Based on your experience, right? What advice? How do they get started if they're new to YouTube and they're new to Pixability? And what advice would you give them? Like, how do they get started? Why is it important to market in YouTube, and what opportunities are there?
Well, I think they should read Video Marketing for Dummies, first of all. It's a long book that we wrote about all of that. But it really depends on a little bit where they're coming from. So we work with two types of companies. We work with big brands, but we also work with smaller companies that are very much have grown up in online marketing. So for the big brand marketers, what I tell them is that TV is dead. They really have to, their audiences, if they are marketing to a youth demographic, even not so young people anymore, they have to do online video. And YouTube is where things are happening. It's 3 times larger than any other public video network out there. So we do a lot of work doing evangelism for YouTube. We know that young audiences don't really bother with live TV anymore. A lot of them don't. It's oftentimes very nonlinear. It's all YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and so we get the brand marketers to understand that their 30-second commercials is really not what is useful anymore. If you're talking to online marketers, the conversation is a slightly different one. It's more around, you're already doing Facebook marketing, you already have a blog, you're doing all of this online content, you should also be doing video. So those two sort of are converging, those two lines. And what we tell people is that YouTube is really as large as Facebook in terms of unique viewers a month. I think you have about 150 million unique viewers. Facebook has 158, so not a big difference there. And we see that there's a lots of arbitrage to be had, to speak in financial terms a little bit. TrueView and AdWords for video right now is a great opportunity to get an audience that you'd otherwise not be reaching at super prices, better than you can get with regular AdWords. So we tell people to think about the content that they should be creating, but also thinking of augmenting that content creation with some paid spend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
awesome.
So it sounds like everything from helping businesses drive brand awareness to acquiring new customers to really deep engagement you focus on. That's really interesting.
Yeah. We run the gamut with our software. There are companies that are focused on the Facebook platform, like Buddy Media. We're very much focused on the YouTube platform, and just help companies and marketers understand that from A to Z.
Right. Great. Really important. I would love, as in your intro you talked about that you're a repeat entrepreneur. I would love if you could talk about the first company you created. I think it was a speech company. That would be great just to understand that background and sort of what has led you to build companies.
Well, I've never had a real job. So I like to say that. I like to brag with that. I started my first company right out of graduate school, and it was a spin-off of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich, Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And we were a text-to-speech software company, and I'm proud to say that today over 500 million people interact with our technology. We are the text-to-speech in Google Android. We're in Google Translate. We are in most premium cars in the world, in the GPS system. So the voices that speak to you there, that is my first company's technology. So I started that company with a bunch of engineers from ETH, the Swiss Federal Institute, and we raised $8 million in capital for that, and we sold it for $125 million and made an 11x for the investors. So made people lots of money, and so I afterwards I thought, okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to try this one more time. And in the second company's Pixability is somewhat related to what we did at SVox. It's also software, obviously, but SVox was very much heavy text analysis, and so we use text analysis also in the algorithms that create the recommendations for Pixability. So that's there's some commonalities between those two businesses. And I just love being an entrepreneur. I come from an entrepreneurial family. All of my 4 grandparents, my grandmothers, my grandfathers were entrepreneurs in their own right. And I never had anybody in the family that had a 9-to-5 job. So I really don't know what it's like to do anything different.
Well, at least your children will know what they're going to be when they grow up then. Long history.
Well, or my little daughter, Louisa, she may rebel against it all and become a civil servant.
Or a Googler.
Well, that's an entrepreneurial company as well. I mean, you're much bigger now, but yeah, I mean, it's...
I love that we use your technology and Android and Translate and everything. I mean, I probably have used your technology 3 times today already, so it's great to see that intersection. It
makes me so proud, and I'm very grateful, obviously, to Google for making that possible, for integrating that and being part of my entrepreneurial life story.
Mm-hmm. And both of them, I mean, the SVox, your first company, that came out of a research project, I guess, right? It was spun off, so it was a research project that you were doing, right? And then Pixability, was that the same case? Because you were coming out from school too.
At MIT, yeah, exactly. I was writing my thesis on business of software at MIT, and was looking for my next thing. I'd already done the first company and was taking a step back, trying to figure out what had just happened to me. Being a tech company founder is a very intense thing, and you really have your head down and you're working really hard, and you just You don't think about anything else. It's like day and night. That's all you do. So then I had this chance to go to MIT for a year and really reflect on what had just happened to me. What is this train that just hit me of technology? So I actually was able to reflect a little bit on how technologies get adopted and why it takes such a long time and how technological disruption works. And I wrote a thesis about how hardware and software are integrated these days and how that makes a large difference in value creation. So I had some time to reflect, and then I knew that I was going to jump right back into a new venture.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting too that you started, one company in Switzerland and one in the US. Our developer network is international. What was some of the differences of, having the two startups in very different environments?
Well, in Europe, I was born in Germany, and I moved to Switzerland when I was 19. Even though my grandparents were entrepreneurs, there's really not this entrepreneurial ecosystem that you have in the U.S. here. So it was a dream to come to the U.S. It's really the classic American dream. I want to do a technology company in the United States and see if I can make it. It's sort of like New York. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was thinking when I thought, okay, well, I've done this company, now I want to try it somewhere else. And I decided to do that in Boston because of the proximity, geographic proximity to Europe, to be able to go back and see my family. Even though I did consider going out to California. But I really found here a great home in Kendall Square for what I do. And it's a lot less lonely here as an entrepreneur, specifically as a female entrepreneur. Right. In Switzerland, I didn't think there was any other female tech entrepreneur in the entire country. At least I never met anyone. And so
you're a pioneer, pretty much.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's very rare. Technology entrepreneurs are not that common. I knew a fair amount of them because I already started out of college. I started START, which furthers entrepreneurship amongst European college students. So I knew a fair amount of them, but there weren't any women there. So when I came here and I discovered that there are all these women that are doing startups, it was great. It was great to have this sisterhood. And so I founded a group called the CEOs that I run sort of as a hobby, where we have 130 female CEOs in the Boston area that come together every month.
I love the name, by the way, CEOs. Yes. That's really creative. And why do you think it's important, to gather and form a network of other women entrepreneurs and leaders?
Well, as female entrepreneurs, we have oftentimes a little bit different backgrounds than the typical male founder. We have slightly different networks, and so we may not be tapped into everything that's happening. Our conversations are often slightly different than the ones that the guys have. They're, I'm going to be stereotypical here, but they're probably a bit less sports related, or we might be, less into first-person shooter games, that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit less natural bonding going on there between the female entrepreneurs and the male counterparts. I can talk a good game for sports and all of that. I've learned to do that because I've worked with men most of my career. But with women, it's a different conversation. And what we do at the CEOs, it's kind of a let your hair down event. Everybody can be open about what they're doing, and women are very collaborative and like to share and are relatively honest. There's a lot less posturing around I'm this cool guy and I'm cooler than you, and so we get to the bottom of things pretty quickly, and people will reach out and help. So that's why I think it's important to do that. I just, with CEOs, offer a forum where women can do that.
I think that's so great and so important that you're helping create a network like that. One of my favorite quotations is from Madeleine Albright, who says, "There's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women," which I love. And I think you're representing that really well. So in that vein, what's in this, whether in this forum or outside of it, what is the best advice that you've been given to help you succeed? You know, it could be in your personal life or professional life, and what advice do you give other young entrepreneurs?
Well, so one of the best pieces of advice that really that I ignored the first time around was by my grandmother, who had her own little grocery shop, and she founded it to help support the family. And she told me when I started my first company, she said, "Bettina, you know what? It's going to take a while for you to get this established, 3 or 4 years until you really see it coming together." And I said, the dutiful granddaughter, I said, "Yes, Grandma," and smiled. But I thought in my head, "Grandma, I'm starting a technology company, a software company. We are going to go like this hockey stick curve." Well, little did I know that I would be going to work every single day for years. It seemed like an eternity, thinking, why am I such a loser? Why am I such a loser? And why is this company not working? And everybody can figure out how to make money. I just can't. So that was, I really then, and luckily my grandma was still alive when I was able to tell her, "Well, Grandma, it was your advice was very correct." And after 3 or 4 years, magically it started working. We got traction, all of that. So my advice to everybody is listen to your grandmother. They know more than you think.
Love that. So basically, listen to your grandma, stick to what you're doing. It takes perseverance to make a company successful.
Absolutely. Right? I tell tech founders, I have this thing I like to give back. Every week I have this entrepreneurial office hour where anybody can come and talk to me. But I talk about that being an entrepreneur only needs 3 things. What you need is chutzpah. Or first of all, actually the first thing that you need is naivete. So that's the very first thing. You have to be kind of naive about what you're doing. Because if you knew what was going to happen, you would not create this company. And then the second thing that you need is chutzpah. You have to have really the audacity to put yourself out there and just tell people, this is what I got to offer. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't. And the third thing is perseverance. So you've got to see it through. It is going to be harder than you thought. And you just have to keep on going and fake it till you make it.
I love that. And creating that contagious enthusiasm around what you're doing. I think it sounds like you've done a great job of that. And how have you helped your company and others and yourself get through some of those low points that you mentioned to really make it through to that 4-year mark or whatever that mark is, where you could go back and tell Grandma, "Hey, I really made this." How did you get through those low points?
You have to have a good team around you. You have to like coming to work. If you don't like your co-founders, if you don't like your team, and you don't like hanging out with them, then it's going to be really hard. You also have to kind of understand that there is a thing called the entrepreneurial roller coaster. That one day you will be high as a kite, everything's wonderful, you've signed on new customers, investors love you, yay. The next day, some customer will say, "This is useless, I'm not buying from you." Another investor will say no, an employee will leave you. All of those things are going to happen, and it's going to happen in very fast cadence. So,
sounds like Google. We have that same product development cycle and interaction with customers.
Well, you're probably still you're still a young company in that regard. So this is, if you understand that, it helps you just keep the faith and hold out for that success. If you have to, I guess you have to be also a pretty emotionally, psychologically stable person to be able to do that, to really see a tech company through its life cycle. But yeah, just surround yourself with others that are doing it, because you'll see that if you just read TechCrunch, you think everybody else is killing it except you. Right. But if you really talk to other entrepreneurs that are in the midst of doing things, and buy them a beer, then you'll hear the real story.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really valuable advice, I mean, for me and our audience as well. And I think unfortunately, we're sort of out of time. And, I just want to thank you again, Bettina, for joining us from Cambridge. And it's been really great to just talk to somebody who's, actually building a company and innovating on top of our, APIs and platform. I think that's really, really cool, and shows the story that you can be successful
twice over.
Twice over.
Yes. And I think you're also doing a great job for a great role model for all developers out there and entrepreneurs, but especially women in particular. So thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and I really love the dev relations team over at YouTube. So thanks.
Great to hear.
You help us a lot. So thank you for doing a great job over there.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.